Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about something that hits so many of us right where we live, modern burnout. But the solution isn't what you might think. It's not some new productivity app. It's actually about your gut. So let's just dive right in. Does this feel familiar? The constant pressure, the never-ending to-do list, that feeling like you're just trying to keep your head above water. And this brings us to Ria. She's a 26-year-old graphic designer, and she pretty much perfectly represents that modern hustle culture. Her story, well, it's one that I think a lot of us are going to see ourselves in. I mean, her life was this relentless cycle, right? Pushing late into the night to hit a deadline, only to be right back on a Zoom call first thing in the morning, with a coffee cup basically glued to her hand. But behind the scenes, something else was going on. Ria was really struggling. And these things, they weren't just a once-in-a-while problem. They had become her constant companions, just dragging her down every single day. And this was the question she'd ask herself every single morning. It's that deep, in-your-bones kind of tired that another espresso shot just can't touch. You know the feeling? Like your battery is permanently stuck at 10%, no matter how much you try to recharge it. The big turning point for her actually came from a totally unexpected conversation with her friend Arav, who's a big fitness guy. He just noticed she wasn't her usual self. So Ria asked him, "What could my stomach possibly have to do with how tired I feel?" And this was his answer. It was a complete mind shift for her. He basically said the problem wasn't her busy schedule, it was something way deeper. It was her gut. So Arav introduced her to this idea of functional nutrition. And look, this isn't another restrictive diet about just counting calories. It's really a philosophy about the quality of the fuel you're putting in your body, giving it what it needs to heal and function at its best. Think of it less like micromanaging your food and more like upgrading your body's entire operating system. Now, she was a little skeptical at first, but honestly, she was desperate for a change. So Ria decided, you know what, I'm gonna run a little experiment on myself. She was ready to try something new. And you know what's crazy? The results came surprisingly fast. After just 2 weeks, that's it, 2 weeks, of making a few small, deliberate changes, she started to feel a really profound difference. And these weren't huge, dramatic things overnight. They were subtle but really powerful shifts. That afternoon slump she always got, it started to vanish. And she wasn't desperately reaching for a candy bar just to get through the day. All of these little wins started adding up to something really big. Okay, so what did this experiment actually look like? What did she do? Well, this is it. It was so simple. This was her new morning ritual. No complicated meal plans, no hours of prep. Just 3 super easy, totally manageable things she added to the start of her day. So that new thing in her routine was Java Burn, which she just mixed right into her morning coffee. It's made with natural ingredients like green tea extract and L-theanine, things that gently help boost metabolism and support that clean, steady energy she'd been missing for so long. So, what happened after a few months of this? Well, the results of her little experiment were completely transformative. It didn't just change her mornings, it pretty much changed her whole life. This slide really says it all, doesn't it? The difference between her old reality and her new one is just, wow. She went from just surviving, running on fumes and pure willpower, to genuinely glowing and thriving. She was feeling energized from the inside out. And this became her new mantra. It's so simple, so powerful, and it perfectly sums up the huge lessons she learned on this journey. So Ria's story really gives us 3 key takeaways. First, your gut is an absolute powerhouse. Second, focusing on nutrient-rich foods is way smarter than just counting calories. And third, you don't need some massive life overhaul to see real change. Small, consistent tweaks are incredibly powerful. In the end, Ria learned that your health is the foundation for everything else. It affects your work, your happiness, your ability to show up as your best self. So that really leaves us with one question to think about. What is your foundation built on? Welcome to The Explainer. Today,